The Taliban opens fire at protesters, showing really how forgiving they're actually going to be as we go in and look and see what's all happening in the Afghanistan situation over the past 24 hours. It is always developing, and also China is using the, let's say, the situation in Afghanistan to try and scare Taiwan. So we'll talk just a bit about that. In other news, in my neck of the woods, Dane County is reinstating its mask mandates, so it's coming. If your locality is a little bit shaky, make sure that you go and check out and tell your local officials that you don't want this, because it's already coming to some of the more liberal areas of the world. And a Minnesota prosecutor opposes releasing these Chauvin juror names. It's going to be all this and more. Hey. Do you trust the plan yet? I am J. Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Alright, good morning everybody. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is J. Edgar, and we have got some news to get to today. It's going to be quite the news day as well, especially with the Afghanistan thing blowing up. That's still half the program, by the way, is just Afghanistan stuff. Seriously, we're still there. But it's a lot of developing situation, a lot of stuff to go with, and I think this is going to stick with us for a while. A couple people were speculating yesterday on it's Buck Sexton, I can't think of the other guy's name, but the two guys that took over for Rush. Tommy Lahren was on there, and the speculation was if this is going to be another flavor of the week news story that disappears when it's no longer politically convenient, not that it ever was, or if this is going to be something that sticks with us for a little while until they can find something at least to go back and blame the Orange Man for, which they're trying desperately to do with this situation as well. But it's a developing situation, and it is going to be half the show, at least through the rest of this week, and we will see what happens with it after this. But before we get into any of the news, head on over there and check out my friends, the Daily Ignoramus, the Breakdown with Birkenhoff, the Porch Boys, who had their inaugural episode last night. Go and check them out. It was a decent show. There were a little bit of growing pains because the person who's doing the tech has never done a producer's role before, but they're doing well. They've got a plan and they stick to it. So definitely go and check them out. Also check out the Freckles and Brit Show and the R-Rated Conservative, and check out our new project. I have finally emailed and got a response from the web lady, and it looks like we're going to start going forward on this, which I am fairly excited for. So go and check them out. They're all great programmers. They're all going to be coming back in on our new project that we have coming up. So definitely go and check them out and check out the new project that'll be coming up. As soon as I have the domain registered, by the way, I will make the announcement of what it is. I've leaked the name before, so I mean it's not a big secret, but I don't want somebody over here in the Google sphere to come back and grab my domain before we get to it either. So make sure you guys go and check all of that out. All right. Getting into the finance to start with here for the day while we have people gathering in here. A few things. The Dow dropped yesterday and tried to come back towards the end of the day, but it did drop off throughout the day yesterday, and all the investors are trying to come out and say, well, it's all about Afghanistan, or, I'm sorry, they were trying to say, it's about the tech sectors and the weak quarterly results and this and that. Dude, this is about Afghanistan. We are losing footing in the world left and right, and all of our investors across the world have seen that we don't stand up for our debts. And keep in mind, we saw this right before Afghanistan fell, that Republicans and Democrats are currently fighting over whether or not to raise the debt ceiling. And by the way, we never got an answer on that either. It just became a wall of Afghanistan over and over again. I don't have it on here right now, but now that I'm thinking about it, I am going to look that up and see if they actually did something like that, and we'll probably cover it tomorrow. Even if it's an old article, we will go back and look and see what's going on with that, and if that actually doesn't look like they are going to raise it right now, unless they go and blow their wad on it on the budget reconciliation. But we'll talk a bit about that tomorrow. Anyway, let's get into see what the Bitcoin is. Your Bitcoin is sitting at $44,779.30. It's on sale right now, folks. Yes, we saw 47,000 not that long ago, but it's dipping back off right now. So make sure you grab a little bit while it comes back down, because you're going to be wishing you had it if it hits 60, 100, or as Elaine of the Red and Ed Show fame has said, $400,000 by the end of the year. I don't think it's going to hit 400,000. I don't think it's going to hit 100,000 anymore, but it's probably going to come back up this year, especially if they keep printing the funny money. Let's look at your scrap. All your copper went down again over yesterday, including brass. 359, 329, 313. So yeah, anything with copper in it seems to have gone down yesterday. Copper seems to be the big hit right now. But aluminum is coming back up, or staying steady. Aluminum rims got up to 62 cents a pound. Everything else is steady throughout the day yesterday. Unless, of course, you have clean aluminum / copper fin, because that has copper in it, and that went down as well. So domestic cats are up, lead is up, large GM cats are up, and motherboards are down. So that's what your scrap is looking at right now. It looks like it wasn't as dire as it initially looked like a couple weeks ago when it decided to do this. Because it dropped like a stone when I first decided to do this. But, now it's holding a little bit steady, so we will see where this goes and what the economy does for us and, basically what we see off of it. All right, let's see. From Investors Business Daily. Dow Jones Futures, market rally retreats. Tesla, Home Depot, CrowdStrike hit. Target falls on earnings, from Ed Carson. Dow Jones Futures fell slightly Wednesday morning, while S&P 500 Futures edged lower, and NASDAQ Futures turned higher. The stock market rally suffered broad losses Tuesday, with the major indices and leading stocks falling as overall breadth deteriorated. Tesla, Home Depot, CrowdStrike tested or broke key levels, as related names also came under pressure. Early Wednesday, Target headlined key earnings along with Lowe's, Children's Place. Keep budding out of that place. TJX Cos, I'm guessing that's TJ Maxx and Costco. Zim Integrated. And we're going to come back to the top for an advertisement. Stock charts. Your edge of the market. That's a dumb one. I don't like that one. Zim Integrated and Analog Devices. Target earnings topped views modestly, while the discounter announced $15 billion of buyback, but Target stock fell slightly, testing its 50-day line after retreating Tuesday. Lowe's rose solidly after selling off Tuesday. Zim stock jumped toward a 5-point on huge, accelerating earnings and sales growth. Analog Devices declined modestly, and Children's Place was little changed after beating views. The Clintons will get into that place. A weak retail sales report, Home Depot earnings, geopolitical concerns stemming from Afghanistan, and more China pressure on tech firms weighed on stocks on Tuesday. The Nasdaq fell to its 10-week moving average, but this wasn't just about techs. So, looking in on this, I want to talk about Target for a second. Now, Lowe's, your home improvement names are going down right now. People are wondering whether or not they're going to be locked in their homes, whether they're going to be able to afford to do another remodeling project while they're locked in their homes. The Delta variant is still weighing, in spite of the fact that it's kind of disappeared with the Afghanistan stuff. It is still weighing on people, and we'll be talking about mask mandates coming up, but Target, that's the one I want to touch on right now. Because I told you guys, and I think that some of this went on with the general public too. Target came out and got on the soapbox and says, 30% of our retail sales will be going to black-owned businesses. We're only going to buy from businesses that are black-owned. And people don't want that bullshit. It's the same. I don't go to Walmart right now. Still, because they got on the soapbox and said, but 5.56 ammo is for assault rifles. And I have never once bought ammunition at Walmart. Ever. But the fact that they got onto that soapbox is, I don't need this bullshit. I don't need a political lecture when I want to go buy potato chips, candles, sneakers, a big screen TV, and several books in the same fucking place. I don't need this bullshit. I'm not going to Walmart anymore. And then, I replaced it with Target. And then they came out with their same thing of 30% of everything we put on our shelves will come from a black-owned business. Okay. I don't need your woke fucking lecture either. I wanted to go in there and get potato chips, a big screen TV, several books, candles. Well, you don't have knitting supplies or crochet supplies. But I wanted to get my cheap shit all in one place. You haven't provided me the ability to do that, so I'm not going to spend money in your place. And, like I say, I'm sure that Kohl's disagrees with me politically. I'm sure that I know that Amazon disagrees with me politically. They bought the Washington Post, where democracy goes to die in darkness. I'm sure that, what other department store is there? Kmart, if there even is any of those anymore, Shopko. I'm sure that all of those also disagree with me politically. But the difference is, they haven't told me. Get woke and go broke. So good. Good on fucking Target for that. And I hope that other people looked at this and saw the fucking light too. Let's see. The July retail sales report weighed on many consumer names on Tuesday, but several sectors were hard hit. One exception is the broad medical sector. Dexcom, United Health, HCA, InMode, Intuitive Surgical, Index Laboratories, and Zoetis are holding up well or advancing. Many of those are actionable or nearly so. On the futures, Dow futures fell 0.2% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures lost about 0.1%. NASDAQ 100 futures rose 0.1%. At 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the Federal Reserve will release minutes from the late July Fed meeting. Investors will be looking for signs that the policymakers were closer to setting out plans for tapering bond purchases. Various reports have indicated that the Fed could officially begin taper talk at the September meeting. And remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. But yeah, that's what we see coming off of that. Let's grab one briefly from Seeking Alpha. Maybe not. Something went wrong. Never mind. Let's get into the big news of the day. Actually, before we get into the big news of the day, I wanted to touch on a couple things here that came up in the Discord before we got started. And if you're in the Discord, you'll see the links for it going through the chat, or you'll find it in the description on most of your videos. Go and join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. There are a lot of cool people there, and you can see a bunch of memes. That's basically all it is at this point, is a meme farm, but I like having a meme farm. And I'm farming these couple memes out of it as well. So, and by the way, if you post a meme in the Discord, I reserve all rights to use it on this program, or on Twitter, or on Instagram, or wherever else I want to distribute it. I reserve that right if you put it in my Discord, just like these ones here that showed up in the Funny Papers tab in my Discord. And they're both political compass, because my best friend, Stephen Ignoramus, has actually he loves political compass memes. And I've only seen a handful of them from his show, but now they're starting to trickle into my Discord as well. So I like this one here. You see the quadrants here. For those of you listening back on the audio platforms, you're not seeing what we're seeing here, but over on the authoritarian on the left, idealistic ideologues ahead of their time, edgy kids and idiots, I like that one, commie scum. Over on the right side, administrators of the utopia of tomorrow, patriarchs and ubermensch and proud and industrious citizens. I'm pretty sure the person that made this meme is authoritarian right. Just something tells me about that because of the way that they make them. Down on the libertarian side, on the libertarian right side, greedy but productive capitalists, anti-commies but just as bad. Libertarian filth in the center here. Over on the lib left, definition of degenerate, anarchists and other such subhumans and hippie filth. down towards the center, and right in the middle there on all 4 quadrants is decent people. I like that one. That one was cool. Or we have this one here. Some of the descriptions of this I laughed at. So, authoritarian. Fuck food. We can live on ideological purity. Is embarrassed how much he agrees with this guy. And over on the auth right, the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. Back on the auth left, Trotsky could have fixed it. IQ tests are pseudoscience, bigot. I don't understand the meme in the in the lib left corner. I don't understand that one. I will admit to that. Up there stops conversation. Don't say that word. Bernie 2020. And right across the axis from him, Ron Paul 2012. Parents who let their preschoolers dress in drag. Over on the lib right side, not saying it's pedophilia, but this pedo gonna feel you. Jesus loves you. You can put my Tommy gun. Don't. I don't get this because this is where I end here. I don't understand this one. Yeah, TBH, the franchise really went downhill after Fallout 3. This one right here, that hit home for me. Low taxes for the rich and constantly retreating. That is the neocon right there. Abortion should be banned, especially when mother's life is at risk. Last 400 unironic monarchists go here. Anyway, that was fun. I like that. Let's get into some of the news. Breaking news before we get into the Afghanistan stuff. Shocking video shows bloody hatchet attack at Manhattan ATM from Tina Moore and Jorge Fitzgibbons. Horrifying new surveillance video shows the moments a 51-year-old man was brutally attacked by a hatchet-wielding maniac while at a lower Manhattan ATM. The footage obtained by the Post on Tuesday shows the victim at one of the ATMs inside a Chase Bank vestibule in Broadway near Beaver Street in the financial district shortly before 5:30 p.m. Sunday when the attacker walks in, removes a hatchet from a dark bag, sneaks up behind him, and begins slashing him. The frightened and bloody victim tries to fend off the brutal assault, falling to the floor several times as he futilely attempts to grab his crazed assailant's weapon. The footage shows when the unidentified attacker is finished beating the victim, he smashes the screens of the cash dispensing machines before walking away and leaving the hatchet and his backpack behind, according to police. Well, that is a grisly scene. Let me see, is this the video? No, that's a Parkinson's video. Let's see if we can see the video. There's the hatchet and glasses. I guess they're not going to show us the video, which may be good and may be bad because I'm guessing it's really disturbing. Oh, here we go. We're going to see the video at the top here. If it loads. Horrifying. Why? Why would you do that? I mean, it's not like he's trying to take something. This is just one of those guys that wants to watch the world burn. Alright, now that this video is age restricted on YouTube, and we can't see it anymore. Yeah, it's life. They hate me anyway. I'm not as bad as some of the other people on the network, but yeah. They're always looking for somebody to come back off here. So yes, that is your video of that. Alright, let's get into the Taliban stuff, shall we? No, he didn't take any money. He just smashed the screen. He smashed the screen, he dropped the hatchet and walked away. Alright, this was actually breaking right this morning before we went live. Taliban opens fire at protesters demanding Afghan flag atop offices. What we know. This is from the India Times, from Gursharan Bala. People in Afghanistan's Jalalabad. No. That is not the name of the city. They're making that up to make fun of us. Those of us who make fun of the people who talk like that, with that language. There's no way that's the name of that city. Jalalabad! People in Afghanistan's Jalalabad city took to the streets on Wednesday demanding the reinstallation of Afghanistan's flag on offices instead of the Taliban flag. However, the Taliban fighters opened fire at the protesters, according to the local news agency Pajwak Afghan News. The Taliban fighters also beat up some journalists who were covering the protest. In video shared on social media, hundreds of people could be seen taking out a march carrying Afghanistan's flag. Here they are, the Taliban firing on protesters in Jalalabad city and beating some video journalists. Let's watch. Oh, gotta turn the music down.
de contagono gozarlo foi muito show ao mageu adu ao las duas casas mana cha pero da área na televisão câmera menos cuidado mani.
Gunshots could be heard in the background as protesters dispersed from the area. It could not be confirmed if anyone was injured during the incident.
دغه داسې کې دغه خلک دی هغه بیرغ لاس کړي دغه داسې کې خلک نزي دوی داسې کې دا مخ کې خلک ولاړ دی بیرغ لاس کړي
So, yeah, that whole thing that we read yesterday of, oh, well, we're going to be forgiving and we're going to forgive the insurgents and everybody who worked with the other government and women come and work in the government with us. I'm guessing that was bullshit at this point. That's what I'm seeing here. All right, let's keep going here. Reading from Axios. Pence says Biden solely responsible for Afghanistan crisis. Former Vice President Mike Pence accused President Biden in a Wall Street Journal op-ed Tuesday showing weakness towards the Taliban and insisted the crisis in Afghanistan wouldn't have happened if U.S. troops left the country sooner. There's a hot debate about which U.S. administration owns this disaster. Biden blames his predecessor, former President Trump. Well, that's the default position from him. When they were coaching him to be president, they told him, Joe, if your medicine ever starts to slip and you start to forget who you are, if you start to forget your wife's face, if you start to forget any of this, just look up and say, Trump did it. Okay, repeat after me. Trump did it. If you ever start to forget, that is your key word, and we'll come in and we will take you out of there and make sure that you're safe, okay? Okay, Joe? For empowering the Taliban and leaving them in the strongest position militarily since 2001. Now Pence says it's the fault of Biden alone. In the Wall Street Journal op-ed, Pence argues that Trump's plan for exiting Afghanistan by May 1st was sound. and that Biden caused the current crisis by delaying the withdrawal and showing weakness towards the Taliban. There was no plan to transport billions of dollars worth of American equipment recently captured by the Taliban, or evacuate the thousands of Americans now scrambling to escape Kabul, or facilitate the regional resettlement of the thousands of Afghan refugees who will now be seeking asylum in the U.S. with little or no vetting, Pence wrote. The Biden admin argues that the struggle to evacuate eligible Afghans is due in part to the fact that the Trump administration left no plan to do so and undercut the existing visa and refugee process. Biden argues it was actually Trump who set the current train in motion by reaching a vague deal with the Taliban that promised a U.S. withdrawal by May 1st without sufficient planning around how that would be accomplished. Right. But, Biden, the fact that all the political leaders, and I've said this every show since it happened, that all the political leaders were able to be approached by the Taliban and be told, hey, those assholes in the U.S., they backed out on what they said they were going to do. And the government supports them. Doesn't the government suck? And the political leaders say, yeah, they do kind of suck, don't they? Hey, you want to join the Taliban? Cool. You want to play golf later? So, yeah, that's part of the reason it fell so fast. And I make no bones about the fact that I think it would have fallen anyway. I really do. But, I'm also in the camp at this point, completely blackpilled to the point and completely isolation to the point of that's not our problem. It really isn't. We should have been out of there in 2001 when it became clear that Osama bin Laden wasn't there. I do understand going over there for like a 2-month engagement. I get that. I'm not going to be as isolationist as some of my libertarian friends that says, we have no business anywhere in the world ever for any reason whatsoever. No, I understand like a 2-month engagement back in 2001. It's September. You're out of there by December. Everybody's home for fucking Christmas. That's what we need to do. That's what we needed to do back then. None of this 20 fucking year bullshit. And yeah, by the time we eclipsed it going into 2002 rather. By the time we eclipsed that New Year's Eve date and went in to another year in Afghanistan, at that point it became to the position where we are at right now, that no matter what, whether we stayed in for a year, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 70 years, 100 years, if we stayed in for 100 years, on 100 years, day one, Mr. Taliban, the leader of the Taliban, whoever it was at the time, would come right back up and plant his flag and say, mine now, bitches! Yes, they would have done the same thing under the May 1st withdrawal, but they would have met resistance. The political leaders would have come out and said, oh, hey, the U.S., they held up their end of the bargain. No, fuck you, get out of my city. If you want the city, take it by force, and which they would have, but at some point that becomes bad optics for them when they start taking everything by force. They took almost nothing by force this time through because they had enough propaganda to get people on their sides. So no, this is not a Trump thing. If anything, this is a fucking W thing. Alright, anyway. That's what we have going on with that. Let's grab some sake videos. I got a pair of them right in a row. So let's start with that. Starting with this one from RNC Research. Biden Press Secretary Jen Psaki can't offer any guarantee that all Americans will be evacuated from Afghanistan. Let's listen.
But can you offer any guarantee to the Americans and Afghan allies that if they remain there past the end of the month, U.S. troops will help them evacuate past the end of the month?
Leisha, our focus right now is on doing the work at hand and on the task at hand. And that is day by day, getting as many American citizens, as many SIV applicants, as many members of a vulnerable population who are eligible to be evacuated to the airport and out on planes. And we're going to do that in an expeditious fashion. That is the focus of the President, of our Secretary of Defense, of our Secretary of State, and everybody on our national security team. So that is where we will keep our effort.
But can you offer any guarantee to the Americans and Afghan allies that if they remain there past the end of the month, U.S. troops will help them evacuate past the end of the month?
Leisha, our focus right now is on doing the work at hand. And
sorry for the loop. The allergies were killing me. So yeah, that's that one point here is, we can't promise that we're going to evacuate everybody back out of there. You know, some people just might be shit out of luck. And I do have to question which group they're prioritizing as well. You know, is this priority American citizens, or is this priority the people who are going to come in and vote the way that we tell them to because we brought them in here under special visas? Let's see. Benny on Twitter said, Psaki delivers an embarrassing word salad. When asked about Biden having released a top Taliban commando from Gitmo as VP, then tries to shift the blame on Trump. What a complete dumpster fire. Let's listen.
Just to follow up on this, obviously getting them through and getting them to the airport is the challenge, as everyone else here has noted. But the administration's left to negotiate with the Taliban, including one of the commandos who was released from Guantanamo Bay as part of the Bo Bergdahl prisoner swap when President Biden was vice president. How does he feel about that? Does he have any regrets, and how's he digesting that?
Well, first I would note that, one, I'd point to the Department of the intelligence community to assess the identity of the individual. I know there's been reporting on it, but that's not my position to do from here. I would also note that in prior negotiations and commitments made during the Trump administration, there were thousands of individuals who were released. So our focus right now is on, again, not taking the Taliban's word for it. We are assessing, we are closely watching, and we are being very clear about the capacities and the capabilities we have at hand should they be needed. Of course, that's not our objective.
And just to follow up on this, obviously getting them through and getting them to the airport is the challenge, as everyone else here has noted. But the administration's left to negotiate.
So, yeah, this is just a blame game at this point. I also see over here on the trending, if Trump were reinstated. Get that out of your fucking head, leftists. Nobody believes this except for Mike Lindell. Nobody in the world believes that Trump can be reinstated right now except for Mike Lindell. So stop frothing at the mouth. Stop coming out there and jerking off and saying, the MAGA people, oh my God, they think Trump is going to be reinstated. They're all terrorists. Stop with that shit, all right? Seriously. All right. Here's an interesting one. From CNN Politics, fact-checking Biden's assertion that the Afghan military was 300,000 strong, from Daniel Dale. And that's, you know, once you have lost CNN as your ally in the media, as a Democrat politician, you're kind of fucked. Which is why I have to wonder if this is going to be, you know, something that we're going to see for a week, or if this is something we're going to see long term. Reading here from Daniel Dale. Defending his withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan, President Biden and his admin have emphasized how many people have served in the Afghan military before its collapse. We spent over $1 trillion. We trained and equipped an Afghan military force of some 300,000 strong, incredibly well equipped, a force larger in size than the militaries in many of our NATO allies. We gave them every tool they could need, said Biden in a White House speech on Monday. Biden also cited the 300,000 figure in a previous speech, and the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, used the figure in a CNN interview on Sunday with anchor Jake Tapper. Facts first, the 300,000 figure was not invented by the Biden admin. The U.S. military, think tanks, and media outlets have long used that same figure or a similar figure. However, the figure was never reliable. Experts told CNN this week that for multiple reasons, the 300,000 figure was significantly overstated the number of Afghanistans who were available to fight. And while a U.S. government watchdog included the figure in a July report, it also warned that data about Afghan forces had been of questionable accuracy for years. Figures on the size of the Afghan forces were consistently marred by the problem of so-called ghost fighters, no-show soldiers and police officers who were listed on the employee rolls only so corrupt people could collect their salaries, even after the implementation of a biometric verification system to try to cut down on this fraud. It was never clear how many of the employees were really showing up every day as opposed to people who were paid to show up once to get enrolled, said Jonathan Schroden, who has studied the Afghan forces as director of the Countering Threats and Challenges program at CNA, a federal-funded research and analysis organization in Virginia. The government watchdog used the 300,000 figure, 300,699 to be precise, in a July report saying this was the number of reported by the U.S.-led Combined Security Transition Command Afghanistan as of late April. However, in the same report, the watchdog noted it had repeatedly expressed serious concerns about corruption issues like the existence of ghost soldiers and police, and about the questionable accuracy of data on the actual strength of the force. The watchdog, called the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, or SIGAR. Wow. They really love their acronyms, don't they? Also raised other concerns, such as the data not accounting for intangibles like the will to fight. The ghost fighters weren't the only hole in the 300,000 figure. Persistently high turnover in the Afghan ranks meant that, at any given time, many military and police positions were either vacant or filled by legitimate employees who were not ready for battle. By 2020, Afghan security forces were still replacing a quarter of the force annually, which the U.S. military has come to view as normal, the watchdog wrote in another report that was released this week. Also, the 300,000 figure didn't only count members of the actual military. Anthony Cordesman, the R.L.A. Burke Chair in Strategy at the Center for Strategic and International Studies think tank and a former federal official, noted that the figure included both military, 182,071 people according to the April figures used in the watchdog report in July, and the police 118,628 people according to the report. Cordesman said that it's fundamentally dishonest to count police as troops, since he said they were not sufficiently trained or equipped to fight Taliban forces. So there are a lot of words here. This is a big word salad to come out and say that the numbers were fluffed. And I don't know if this was necessarily malice on the part of the Biden admin, or if this is the war hawk regime that's coming out and looking for an excuse to go back over there, or to stay over there forever, or to come out and say, oh, oops, oh, the military folded, now we have to go back over there again. There's propaganda everywhere, you guys. There is, and we know that military brass with a hard-on for war will lie to a president. They got fucking caught doing it to the former president. About this country, on top of it, about Afghanistan, they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. So you don't think they'll do it to the current houseplant in chief? Or whoever's pulling the strings? Seriously? No, it's all a bunch of bullshit at this point. Alright, but you know, if you're Biden, once you've lost the CNN as your, as your shield, as your bulletproof armor, you're kind of fucked. All right, let's check in with the Washington Post, where democracy goes to die in darkness. 72 hours at Camp David inside Biden's lagging response to the fall of Afghanistan. From Ashley Parker, Tyler Pager, and Annie Linsky, another one where once you've lost this left-wing bastion as a Democrat president, where do you go next? Marine One lifted off Friday at 1:36 p.m. for Camp David, bearing a leader headed on a long-planned August vacation. President Biden, clad in a black baseball cap and a light blue short-sleeve shirt, carried a lone piece of luggage and was accompanied by his wife and a small retinue of staff. But when the president's official helicopter touched back down 72 hours later in Washington, the leader who emerged was preparing to address the biggest foreign policy crisis of his presidency, a rapidly developing catastrophe in Afghanistan that has left the admin scrambling to evacuate U.S. citizens and Afghan nationals before the Taliban's stunningly swift takeover of the nation is complete. Yeah. Yeah. That ship has sailed, you guys. When was this written? Today at 6 a.m. was the last time it was edited. Yeah, no, that ship has sailed. The takeover is complete, you guys. There is no waiting around anymore. One close Biden foreign policy ally, who is in regular contact with the White House and State Department, said the president's team would never have let him leave for Camp David had they known just how quickly Afghanistan would implode amid a president's decision to withdraw all U.S. troops by September 11th. The assessment was buttressed by the words of Biden and his top foreign policy officials in the weeks leading up to the crisis. In June, for instance, the Secretary of State Anthony Blinken testified to the House Foreign Affairs Committee that he did not expect an immediate deterioration in the situation when U.S. forces began to draw down over the summer. Whatever happens in Afghanistan, there's a significant deterioration in security. That could well happen. We have discussed this before. I don't think it's going to be something that happens from a Friday to a Monday, Blinken said. Surprise! But that's almost exactly what happened as the situation unraveled with a quicksilver speed over the first 3 days of Biden's trip to Camp David, which curtailed Monday to return to the White House to address the nation. And then he went back. He had not spoken publicly about the crisis in 6 days. I stand squarely behind my decision, Biden said during his address at the East Room. After 20 years, I've learned the hard way that there was never a good time to withdraw U.S. forces. But Biden conceded Afghanistan fell to the Taliban in a way his team had not fully fathomed. The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated, Biden continued. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the country. The Afghan military collapsed, sometimes without trying to fight. No shit, Sherlock. No shit. And then he went, no questions. Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President. And gone. Boom. Like a flash of fucking smoke. He is back to Camp David. Don't let anybody accuse Biden of overworking, because when he's on vacation, he's gone. He's done. You won't see him again. Alright, let's grab one that Mad Cow Mark will enjoy from our friends to the other side of the world. From skynews.com.au. China sends chilly warnings to Taiwan, says fall of Kabul to Taliban tarnishes U.S. credibility. Fact check, it does. From Tyrone Clark. China's propaganda mouthpiece, the Global Times, has warned Taiwan that once warfare breaks out, the island's defenses will collapse in hours as the U.S. will not offer support. Afghanistan's capital, Kabul, fell to Taliban forces on Sunday as U.S. and coalition troops neared the end of their 20-year deployment. Former U.S. President Trump made the decision to withdraw the country's troops from Afghanistan in his final year in office. President Biden confirmed the move, announcing American troops would be entirely removed by September 11th. The Taliban took advantage of the mass exits of foreign troops and engaged in a cross-country onslaught, seizing key regional centers before taking Kabul over the weekend. And this is from the Global Times. From what happened in Afghanistan, those in Taiwan should perceive that once a war breaks out in the Straits, the island's defense will collapse in hours and the U.S. military won't come to help. As a result, the DPP will quickly surrender. And the other part of their tweet, once a cross-Straits war breaks out, while the mainland seizes the island with forces, the U.S. would have to have a much greater determination than it had for Afghanistan, Syria, and Vietnam if it wants to interfere. Okay, this is all true, but this is also mainland China admitting the fact that Taiwan is an independent country. Something they've been very reluctant to do for quite a while. In an op-ed on the Global Times, one of China's key propaganda media organizations pointed to the U.S.'s decision to withdraw troops as the root cause of the rapid demise of the Kabul government. The article said America's readiness to leave Afghanistan should send warning signs to the people of Taiwan. How Washington abandoned the Kabul regime, rather. Wow. I'm starting to talk like Biden here, you guys. Come on, man. I'm turning into an 80-year-old president. Help! Help! How Washington abandoned the Kabul regime particularly shocked some in Asia, including the island of Taiwan, it said. The situation in Afghanistan suddenly saw a radical change after the country was abandoned by the U.S. and Washington just left despite the worsening situation in Kabul. Is this some kind of omen of Taiwan's future fate? Dude, they're just trying to rattle you guys. If you want to hold the island, hold the island. Japan's already said they've got your back, so. But yeah, China's going to do China things, unfortunately. Let's see, from The Hill, we're going to go over this one briefly because this is a lot of the same information in the Sky News one. After Kabul, China exploits perceptions of American weakness. From Gordon C. Chang, opinion contributor, so this is an op-ed. The views expressed by contributors are their own and not the views of The Hill, and also not the views of Turns and Pages Productions or the staff of Contemporary, which is me. If the U.S. cannot even secure a victory in a rivalry with small countries, how much better could it do in a major power game with China, asked the Communist Party's Global Times on Monday, hours after the Taliban captured Kabul. The semi-official tabloid also stated this, referring to America, it cannot win a war anymore. China's regime this year has highlighted the themes intended to intimidate others into submission, and Beijing doubled down on the approach in the wake of American withdrawal from Afghanistan. The risk is that Beijing will now press the advantage, taking on what it says is a weak America. His bigger intention is to focus on China, pooling as many U.S. military forces as possible in the Indo-Pacific region, the Global Times reported. Referring to President Biden, the grand strategy seemed flawless and inspiring for Washington, until the U.S.'s epic defeat and chaotic retreat in Afghanistan mirrored how shaky it is. The tabloid then quoted Liu Zhang of the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences in Beijing. A little bit more troops relocated from Afghanistan to China's periphery do not make much difference for China. So yeah, it's looking like they're getting ready to at least do something, talk about doing something, but I don't know. Because I think Japan will curb stomp them if they try. But I guess we'll see where that goes and what happens there. And maybe this is just Beijing Biden making a decision that's going to make it easier for China to take over Taiwan. I mean, they're already getting buddy-buddy with the Taliban. Maybe China will send the Taliban over to Taiwan. Maybe this was all just a grand power play to say, hey, look, hey, come on, man, come on, G, man, we're buddies, here. Have these allies right next to you, and you can have Taiwan too. I won't try to stop you, man. All right. I saw a funny meme that went with this, and I didn't collect it, which is shitty because it was funny as shit. Twitter says Taliban can stay on the platform if they obey the rules. And the meme that I saw was Nick Fuentes in, was it a turban? Yeah, in a turban and a big beard, returning to Twitter. This is from Sam Chamberlain. Unlike former President Trump, the faces and voices of the reconstituted Taliban regime in Afghanistan can apparently tweet to their heart's content. In a statement obtained by Mediaite on Tuesday, Twitter ducked the question of whether it would bar representatives of the Islamic fundamentalist government from getting their message out 280 characters at a time, saying that it would continue to proactively enforce its rules outlawing the glorification of violence, platform manipulation, and spam. Twitter's top priority is keeping people safe, and when we remain vigilant, the statement said. Both official Taliban spokesmen have unverified accounts on Twitter. One, Zabihullah Mujahid has more than 310,000 followers. His most recent tweet as of Tuesday afternoon promoted a press conference by Taliban leaders and drew hundreds of responses, many of them from well-wishers. Dear Zabihullah Mujahid Saeeb, first of all, I welcome you and congratulate you on the complete liberation of Afghanistan, read a typical message. Other spokesman, Qari Youssef Ahmadi, has more than 63,000 followers and gained notoriety during the recent fighting for tweeting reports about the capture of various cities as the Taliban swept through the Afghan countryside. Big tech critics have expressed outrage over Twitter's tolerance towards the Taliban after it banned Trump in the aftermath of the undeadly January 6th selfie fest at the U.S. Capitol. The company also recently suspended Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a plant, after she questioned the efficacy of the pinko-fucking-pox jab, but has permitted accounts affiliated with repressive governments like China and Iran to spread anti-American and anti-Israel propaganda. But they're saying that they can stay on as long as they follow the rules. But you know who isn't saying they can stay on? Facebook. Reading from CNBC. Facebook, TikTok won't lift ban on posts that promote Taliban after the fall of Afghanistan. From Sam Sheed. Facebook and TikTok said Tuesday they won't lift bans on content that promote the Taliban after the group took control of Afghanistan. These social media giants told CNBC they consider the Afghan group, which has used social media platforms to project its message for years, to be a terrorist organization. Facebook said it has dedicated a team of content moderators that is monitoring and removing posts, images, videos, and other content related to the Taliban. It's unclear how many people are on the team. Afghanistan fell to the Islamic militant group over the weekend as it seized the city of Kabul, including the presidential palace. After President Biden's April decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Afghanistan, the Taliban made stunning battlefield advances, and nearly the whole nation is now under the insurgents' control. A Facebook spokesperson told the CNBC, Taliban is sanctioned as a terrorist organization under U.S. law, and we have banned them from our services under the dangerous organization's policy. The Taliban has been banned from Facebook for several years, the spokesman said. Facebook said this means that it removes accounts that are maintained by or on behalf of the Taliban, as well as those that praise, support, or represent them. We also have a dedicated team of Afghanistan experts who are native Dari and Pashto speakers and have knowledge of local context, helping to identify and alert us to emerging issues on the platform, the Facebook spokesperson said. So, yeah. And of course, it also applies to Instagram and WhatsApp. But reports suggest that the Taliban are still using WhatsApp to communicate. So, I guess we will see what happens there, but they're going to stay off Facebook for a while. Maybe they'll get legitimacy. Maybe Facebook will come out and say, oh, well, they're a government, and we can use them to get more information. More information, please give me more information. And then they'll come back. All right, from the BBC. Afghanistan, Facebook continues ban of Taliban-related content. No author given because it's the BBC. The company says it has a dedicated team of Afghan experts to monitor and remove content linked to the group. I always miss the first paragraph because I think it's a photo caption. Facebook has confirmed it will continue to ban Taliban content from its platforms as it considers the group to be a terrorist organization. The company says it has a dedicated team of Afghan experts to monitor and remove content linked to the group. For years, the Taliban has used social media to spread its messages. Its rapid takeover of Afghanistan raises fresh challenges for technology firms on how to deal with content related to the group. The Taliban is sanctioned as a terrorist organization under U.S. law, and we have banned them from our services under our dangerous organization policies. This means we remove accounts maintained by or on behalf of the Taliban and prohibit praise, support, and representation of them, a Facebook spokesperson told the BBC. So, yeah, they're pretty much rehashing the same information as the CNBC article. So, we don't really have to sit around and talk much about this one, but yeah, Facebook has banned them, has kept them banned. Twitter has let them go on and say whatever the hell it is that they want, as long as they follow the rules. as long as they don't incite an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. They can have the insurrection at the Afghan Capitol, but they better not do it at the U.S. Capitol. And they better not use little old ladies and people with Confederate flags. But as long as they don't do that, then they're fine. They can be on the Twitter platform. All right. From Reuters. Give me just a second, you guys. I'll leave you with a little bit of music. No, you know what? Let's listen to the red-haired bobblehead again. I gotta take just a second and step away. Sorry.
Just to follow up on this, obviously getting them through and getting them to the airport is the challenge, as everyone else here has noted. But the administration's left to negotiate with the Taliban, including one of the commandos who was released from Guantanamo Bay as part of the Bo Bergdahl prisoner swap when President Biden was vice president. How does he feel about that? Does he have any regrets, and how's he digesting that?
Well, first I would note that, one, I'd point to the Department of the intelligence community to assess the identity of the individual. I know there's been reporting on it, but that's not my position to do from here. I would also note that in prior negotiations and commitments made during the Trump administration, there were thousands of individuals who were released. So our focus right now is on, again, not taking the Taliban's word for it. We are assessing, we are closely watching, and we are being very clear about the capacities and the capabilities we have at hand should they be needed. Of course, that's not our objective.
God, I hate allergy season with a passion. And like I said last year, I almost never got hit with allergies last year. It was the easiest allergy season of my life last year. But I'm paying for it this year. All right, let's keep talking about Reuters here for a second. Russia says Afghan president fled with cars and helicopter full of cash. RIA from Reuters. Russia's embassy in Kabul said on Monday that Afghan President Ashraf Ghani fled the country with 4 cars and a helicopter full of... Dude, he can only drive one at a time. And a helicopter full of cash, and had to leave some money behind as it would not all fit in, the RIA news agency reported. I am not surprised. Holy shit, I'm not surprised. Ghani, whose current whereabouts are unknown, said he left Afghanistan on Sunday as the Taliban entered Kabul virtually unopposed. He wanted to avoid bloodshed. Russia said it will remain a diplomatic presence in Kabul and hopes to develop ties with the Taliban, even as it says it is no rush to recognize them as the country's rulers and will closely observe their behavior. I'm only going to go with the winners. That's Russia's statement right there. Yeah, fuck the rest of this. I'm just going to deal with the winners. Let's see. As for the collapse of the outgoing regime, it is most eloquently characterized by the way that Ghani fled Afghanistan. Nikita Ishenko, a spokesman for the Russian embassy in Kabul, was quoted as saying by RIA, 4 cars were full of money. They tried to stuff another part of the money into a helicopter, but not all of it fit, and some of the money was left lying on the tarmac, he was quoted as saying. Ishenko, the Russian embassy spokesman, confirmed his comments to Reuters. He cited witnesses as the source of his information. Reuters could not independently confirm the veracity of his account immediately. President Putin's special representative on Afghanistan, Zamir Kabulov, said earlier it was unclear how much money the fleeing government would leave behind. I hope the government that has fled did not take all the money from the state budget. It will be the bedrock of the budget if something is left, Kabulov told Moscow's Echo Moskvy radio station. Dude, this was a massive gift to Russia and a massive, massive gift to China. Because Russia doesn't touch Afghanistan. Well, they were the Soviet Union that they did, but Russia does not touch Afghanistan, but they keep diplomatic ties with all of the stands. And now having the U.S. presence out of the way, especially in the embassy, because are we keeping a diplomatic presence over there? I don't think we are. In fact, right now I think it would be stupid and a place to put diplomats that you don't like to keep a diplomatic presence there. I think we should have a diplomatic presence, just maybe not there. Maybe have somebody that goes in from the outside once every week and says, hey, Mr. Taliban, hey, how you doing? Hey, you still hate us? Ah, cool. Okay, we'll try again next week. Thank you. Take care. But, there's Russia. We are an enemy of United States. You come in. We have diplomatic talks. You let us put weapons here, and we help defend Iran against U.S. forces. And China comes into the other side and says, hey, you want to come help us take Taiwan? Alright, so there's that from the Blaze. So this is going to be some disturbing video if you see it, by the way. Video shows body of desperate Afghan who died clinging to landing gear of U.S. military plane trying to flee the Taliban. Report. This is from Sarah Taylor. Disturbing photos and disturbing video to come. Authorities have discovered human remains inside the wheel well of a C-17 military plane fleeing the Taliban-controlled Afghanistan on Monday. The Washington Post, where democracy goes to die in darkness, and the New York Post reported. Desperate Afghani people were swarming the departing planes earlier in the day in a bid to escape the country as the Taliban took over Afghanistan's capital city, Kabul. Video footage obtained by the New York Post reportedly shows an Afghan's lifeless body flapping in the air as the C-17 transport plane speeds through the sky. The landing gear on the plane, which took off from Kabul's Hamid Karzai International Airport on Monday, was rendered temporarily inoperable due to the presence of the body. Pilots were reportedly forced to make an emergency landing in a nearby country because they were unable to retract the plane's landing gear. Both outlets reported and explained that the person was believed to have climbed onto the plane's landing gear in an attempt to stow away on the aircraft. Olympian and veteran Eli Bremer tweeted about the grisly finding, writing, "This is what failed foreign policy looks like. I was just sent this from Air Force pilot. Policy mistakes matter." Biden continues his streak of being on the wrong side of virtually every U.S. foreign policy decision. This is a disturbing photo, and there will be a disturbing video to come afterwards. So, yes. There's the photo of the guy's body just flapping in the wind as they're coming up to thousands of feet. I don't know what he was stuck in either. And this is, of course, people are saying mannequin that was welded to this and possibly a sex doll that was welded to the side of the plane. I have not seen the body, but I know propaganda runs rampant as well. And it is hard to hold on to something at 50,000 feet, especially once you're dead. The new video joins the ranks of other horrifying footage of desperate panicked Afghanis that was captured on Sunday and Monday after the Taliban's forceful takeover. One such video captured bodies falling from the exterior of a U.S. military aircraft during a hasty departure from the Kabul airport. On Monday, Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby said that the Defense Department has temporarily frozen military and civilian flights in an attempt to clear the airfield, but Kirby said late Monday that the U.S. had resumed flights after taking control of Kabul's airport. The U.S. had sent more troops to help secure the airport so that American citizens, embassy staff, and Afghans can leave the country. Content warning: disturbing video footage. That's not the video I wanted. Give me a second. There's the one I wanted. I guess there's no sound to it, but yeah. That is the body flapping in the wind as the plane goes through the sky. That'll keep you up at night. So, yeah, that's what we saw from that. All right, I think that's all the Afghani stuff that we have. I think we have to go into the COOF after this. Are you guys ready for that? For that fucking shit show? Because that's a shit show too. All right, let's start here with the Hill. Everybody along for the ride here? Abbott tests positive for COVID-19 breakthrough infection from Michael Schnell. Greg Abbott has tested positive for the COOF. I am not going to stand for this. That is probably not the right word to use for that. Texas Governor Greg Abbott tested positive for COVID-19 on Tuesday, his office announced. The governor's office said it got the positive result after Abbott, who is fully vaccinated, underwent his routine daily testing. He is currently asymptomatic, but is receiving Regeneron's monoclonal antibody treatment, which is the same regimen from former President Trump was given when he tested positive for the pinko fucking pox in October. Governor Greg Abbott tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. The governor has been testing daily, and today was the first positive test result, the governor's office said in a statement. Governor Abbott is fully vaccinated, in good health, and currently experiencing no symptoms. Everyone in the governor that the governor has been in close contact with has been notified, the office added. Abbott will now isolate in the governor's mansion. His office said his wife, Celia Abbott, has tested negative. The CDC refers to breakthrough cases as fully vaccinated people who test positive for COVID-19. The agency says on its website that a small percentage of people who are fully vaccinated ultimately test positive for the virus. Health experts have emphasized that breakthrough infections are rare and usually cause milder symptoms, but we sure hear of a lot of them, even though they're rare, or asymptomatic cases. Additionally, officials have reported in the past month that the vast majority of recent pinko pox hospitalizations and deaths are among individuals who are not vaccinated, and surely they're not cooking those books, by the way. The news comes as Texans are seeing a surge in COVID-19 cases, driven largely by the highly infectious Delta variant of the coronavirus. You know, it sure would be a shame if somebody speculated out there, wrongly of course, because don't worry, YouTube, the vaccine works, and everybody should run out and get the vaccine. Don't worry, YouTube, I'm not spreading dangerous misinformation. But theoretically in a simulation, wouldn't it be a shame if people were going to the hospital with symptoms or with a positive test and saying, Mr. Hospital person, I have a positive test. Okay, were you fully vaccinated? Yes, I was, and I still have a positive test. And I'm hacking my lungs out, and I don't know why, and I feel like I have pneumonia. Good. Go home and don't tell anybody about this. The CDC would never cook the books, though, and the hospitals would never cook the books to push a political agenda, right? Right? So, yeah. There it is. There's Abbott with a breakthrough. Another one here. Tennessee Governor Lee signs executive order making masks optional in the schools. From Jessica Chasmer. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signed an executive order Monday allowing parents to opt their children out of coronavirus mask mandates in public schools. No one cares more about the health and well-being of a child than a parent, the Republican governor tweeted. Announcing the order, districts will make the decisions they believe are best for their schools, but the parents are the authority and will be the ultimate decision makers for their individuals' child's health and well-being. I will not be calling a special session at this time. The order states that the parent or guardian has the right via written notice to opt out of any requirement for a student in K through 12 to wear a face covering at a school, on a school bus, or at school functions. In a statement, Lee said that while local decision-making is important, individual decision-making by a parent on issues regarding the health and well-being of their child is the most important. The governor also pushed the importance of more Tennesseans to get vaccinated, but assured them it would not be mandated. Tennessee State House Speaker Cameron Sexton, a Republican, had previously asked Lee to call a special session in an attempt to block school districts from mandating masks. Sexton shared the governor's orders in a series of tweets on Monday. Governor Lee's executive order issued today is good news in affirming a parent's right to make healthcare decisions for their children, he wrote. I feel confident the immediate need for a special session has been averted in the interim by using executive orders. However, the House still stands ready to act if the call comes. The House should still act, honestly. This should not be an executive decision. It should never have been an executive decision. Do your job, legislature. Do your job. Make the decision. Make the law. And if you want it to be optional for the parents, make it be optional for the parents. If you want to ban masks, well, you're probably going to get pushback from a lot of your tourism industry, but if that's what you want to do it. But it should ultimately be left up to the individual in all the cases, especially in the school, where kids are not getting this thing. As much as they try to cook the books and tell us that they are, kids are not getting this thing. State Rep Antonio Parkinson, a Democrat, slammed the decision as irresponsible. Because of course he did. Aren't emergency orders supposed to be used to help mitigate or control but not exacerbate an emergency situation? Is this an abuse of power? He tweeted on Tuesday morning. Well, technically it is. You and the legislature, as a state rep, should have been doing this. But since the people who are pulling your strings can't get it together and can't get their hands out of their own fucking pants, well, the governor had to do it. And I am fully against executive orders. I want to make sure that everybody knows that full on. I am against executive orders of any type because of the way they've been bastardized. The legislature makes the law. So that's what we see from that. Let's grab one from the Tennessean. Legislature will not allow executive order on school masks to be defied by Nashville and Memphis schools, Lieutenant Governor says. From Natalie Allison. If the state's largest public school districts in Nashville and Memphis don't quickly comply with a Monday executive order upholding parental choice on student mask wearing, a special legislative session could happen after all. After Governor Bill Lee signed Executive Order 84, requiring schools to allow parents to opt their children out from mask requirements, officials with Shelby County Schools and Metro Nashville Public Schools stated Monday evening that all students are still required to wear them. There's no process in these districts where masks are required for seeking a non-medical mask exemption. While Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally resisted a recent push by House Speaker Cameron Sexton to urge the governor to call legislators back for a special session to reel in school mask mandates, the Senate Speaker has changed his tune. The governor said the governor and the General Assembly cannot and will not allow lawful orders to be defied. McNally of Oak Ridge said in a statement Tuesday afternoon, if these systems persist in resisting the order, we will have no choice but to exercise other remedial options. Honestly, now, yes, I will continue to say that I wish the legislature would have done this rather than the governor doing it by executive order, but this is what I see as a good enough compromise. Hear me out on this. Now, the school districts themselves, there's no state mandate to have the school districts require masks. The school districts can decide on their own what is best for their individual school district, whether having a mask requirement is in play or not. But the parents have the option to override it. If they do nothing, the child still has to wear a mask. If they don't care enough about their children still have to suffer. Which, if they don't care enough about their children are suffering anyway. The children still have to suffer if the parents opt to do absolutely nothing at all. But the parents still have the final say in what happens with their kids, not the school district. But the locality, as far as government goes, because the school district is a locality thing, the locality, as far as the government goes, has the final say. Parents have the ultimate final say, and then the next final say is at a local level. It's not at a state level, and it's not at a national level. It's at a local level. I think this is probably the best compromise you can get, given the situation. given where we're sitting at right now politically and divided on this stupid fucking virus, this is the best compromise you can possibly pull out. That everybody's still going to be a little bit mad about, but ultimately is going to work for the largest number of people. I admire this one, I'm not going to lie. All right, from my neck of the woods, from WKOW.com, ABC 27, out of Watertown. Dane County issues indoor mask mandate effective August 19th. From Peter Culver. And we have a wall of videos before we can actually get to any of the writing. As the Pinko-Pox case rates continue to rise nationwide, Public Health Madison and Dane County announced Tuesday that masks will be required in all indoor public spaces as of August 19th. According to a news release from PHMDC, everyone age 2 and up will need to wear masks in all indoor public spaces. This is an escalation from a previous advisory that came down July 27th. We still believe vaccines are our best tool to protect our community, Director of Public Health Madison and Dane County Janelle Heinrich said in a release, but as cases continue to increase, requiring face coverings is an easy added layer of protection to further help keep people safe, including our youngest children, not yet eligible to be vaccinated. PHMDC will ask local businesses to hang signage reminding patrons of the new mandate. And I will continue to not spend money in Dane County. The tweet and the Snapchat that came out on that over the weekend. This is the reminder of why, because they were the first one to put a mask mandate in place in Wisconsin. And at that point, I stopped spending money in Dane County because their super liberal progressive policies did not need to be rewarded by my 0.5% of tax revenue. And that's all that it is on locality. It's 5% state of Wisconsin tax, and then 0.5% of locality tax in Dane County. And that varies. Sometimes it's another 1%, sometimes it's 0.5%, sometimes it's a 0.1% is the locality, but for Dane County it's a 0.5%. And they will not get that from me. Fuck that. They will not. From Wisconsin State Journal, Dane County mask mandate, how it will affect prep sports in the area. So this is an interesting one because they're actually going to specifically look at what's going to happen in the private schools because of the mask mandate. Because for the most part, the prep and private schools were not having the requirement for students, and now they're going to have to because it is a government mandate. This is from John Masson. McFarland girls volleyball coach Trish Fortune came home after directing a lively practice Tuesday morning during the first week of practice permitted for the sport by the WIAA this fall. It came the day after McFarland School Board decided that the Spartans' practices could be conducted without masks, but that players didn't have to wear masks during home matches, but those on the bench would, and spectators would be required to wear masks in the McFarland gym, Fortune said. There was a lot of enthusiasm and energy, she said, about Tuesday's practice. It was a loud gym. When Fortune arrived home, she learned that the new public health order was issued by Public Health Madison and Dane County on Tuesday morning due to COVID-19 cases increasing, and that Dane County again will be under the indoor mask mandate starting Thursday until September 16th. Those aged 2 and older in Dane County are required to wear face coverings or masks when in an enclosed space open to the public, where others, except individuals of the person's household, could be present. Fortune, who anticipated receiving updated directives from her school district in the wake of the news that masks were back, said her team would adjust to whatever it learned. Roll over and take it, the motto of Dane County. We will do what we need to do to play, she said. We're super excited to play in the fall instead of the WIAA's alternate fall season in the spring, which McFarland played last spring. We will adjust and play hard. Area schools were again faced with changes just as the fall season began, after a 2020-2021 school year dramatically impacted by the pinko-pox pandemic and health and gathering orders. The indoor sports of girls and boys volleyball and girls swimming and diving likely will be most affected by mask mandates in area counties. Madison Edgewood girls volleyball coach Eliza Zwetler said COVID-19 has taught us to expect the unexpected. No, this was fully expected. Though she said she expected the news that came Tuesday and anticipated the team being fully masked at practices as of Thursday. Yeah, imagine playing volleyball wearing one of those stupid fucking things. But yeah, that's what this is going to mean. I can't imagine. And I've played volleyball before, and that is a strenuous exercise. Doing that in a mask. No, fuck you. No, that's not going to happen. I'll go for a run in 40 fucking below before I will exercise indoors on heavy cardio in one of those stupid masks. Alright, here's one for you guys. I screen capped this and snipped it from Twitter yesterday. Carrie Underwood. People react after singer Carrie Underwood appears to have liked a tweet by political commentator Matt Walsh that features his speech to a Nashville school board opposing mask mandates for kids. Why is this news? Why is this important? Why should I care? No, seriously, why should I care that Carrie Underwood likes something that Matt Walsh put out? Why? And how do we find out about this, by the way? I'm sure that, some little fangirl out there, Carrie Underwood, I want to be just like you, is reading through Twitter, carefully studying Carrie Underwood, and then just through the feed it says Carrie Underwood liked, and whatever the fuck it was that Matt Walsh said out of his ass, because that's where he talks from. From Yahoo News, Carrie Underwood blasted for liking an anti-mask tweet. Go away. Jesus take the wheel indeed, from Alex Noble. If we as a nation can't look to our American idols for Jesus fucking Christ. The bad puns, you guys, seriously. Oh. I can't with these people. I seriously can't. Then who can we look to? Carrie Underwood is drawing some harsh criticism for liking a video of conservative commentator Matt Walsh denouncing school mask mandates on Twitter. Although Walsh's tweet is from last week, the revelation that Underwood has liked it began circulating on Tuesday, with fans describing her actions as embarrassing and dangerous. Not this. And apparently it's a picture or a screenshot or a video of Walsh's speech to the Nashville School Board where I spoke out against the cruel and indefensible mask mandates for children. Walsh wrote a series of tweets on the matter, practically as soon as Underwood's name began trending. Carrie Underwood liked my video, and now the mob is coming for her, he wrote. She should know better than to like something that they don't like. This is an unforgivable sin. There's that again. We don't want to see that for a second time. How long before Carrie Underwood officially renounces me? I give it a good solid 12 hours, tops. He tweeted before backtracking, just in case she doesn't. I could be wrong, though. I'm basing this on our general experience with celebrities who face public backlash from the left. In fairness, she could be the outlier. Time will tell. Finally, for now, Walsh sent out one last sarcastic self-aggrandizing tweet. Like anyone else, I am upset and disturbed that Carrie Underwood liked one of my tweets. She should know better than to indirectly endorse the opinions of an extremist and scoundrel such as myself. Her lack of judgment is appalling. I demand that she renounce and apologize. So, that's that. But we do have one over here from Gina Botempo, who hits the nail on the head pretty accurately. Gina Botempo, Florio Gina over on Twitter, tweets out, to everyone having a meltdown about Carrie Underwood's gasp, liking a tweet from a conservative commentator, just wait until you find out how many of your beloved A-list celebrities are deeply conservative. Many of the household names you've been worshipping for years send private messages of support to certain conservative pundits on a regular basis. Hollywood has more dissenters than you might think. Now, take this woman with a grain of salt because she is the manager of Candace Owens, who will dox you if you actually say anything that is not glowingly praising of Candace Owens. She will put all of your personal information out there and she will look up your criminal record and leak it if you ever get in an altercation with the police. So take that with a grain of salt, but I do think that is the nail on the head. A lot of these A-listers are super, super, super conservative because they don't want to get taxed out of existence. But they know that if they don't come out and say, hey, tax the rich, then the mob will come to their doors and demand all their money. All right, from The Hill. Arizona governor issues order banning cities, counties from enacting vaccine mandates. From Justine Coleman. Still wish the legislature would have done this one. I'm more comfortable with this one because it should be your body, your choice, but as always, I still wish the legislature would have done it, not the governor. Not a fan of executive orders. Not a fan. This is from Justine Coleman. Governor Doug Ducey issued an executive order Monday banning cities and counties from enforcing vaccine mandates for their employees days after Tucson voted to require the shot for its workers. The governor's executive order takes effect immediately and says any violation could result in a Class 3 misdemeanor with up to 1 month in prison or $500 in fines. Ducey has signed Arizona Senate bill in late June that outlawed local governments from implementing vaccine requirements, but the law will not go into effect. Okay. I will back up what I just said because it does look like the legislature did do something about this. Huzzah on the legislature, but it doesn't take effect until September 29th. So the executive order is to bridge the gap between now and the effective date. Okay, I'm okay with this one. Let it be heard, world around, that I am okay with one executive order. One. The camera's down here. One executive order. Because it's bridging the gap of something the legislature already did. The order noted that it applies to any actions taken by local governments to mandate vaccines since then. We encourage all Arizonans to get the vaccine. It's safe, it's effective, it's free, Ducey said in a statement, but getting it is a personal choice, and we will not allow discrimination based on vaccination status. Today's order builds on our efforts to protect Arizonans from excessive mandates that hinder their freedom to choose what's best for their health. The governor's move comes as battles between state and local governments on vaccine mandates have heated up in recent weeks. Tucson Mayor Regina Romero objected to Ducey's executive order, calling it legally meaningless after a review from the city's attorney general. She said that Tucson's vaccine requirement for city workers that was approved last week will remain in place, requesting they show that they got at least one dose by August 24th or face suspension without pay or higher health insurance premiums. Governor Ducey is paving the way for COVID-19 to spread uncontrollably throughout our state and attempting to impede those of us who believe in science-based solutions at the local level, she said in a statement. Science, and by science I mean the religion of science, that the government, who is their God, tells them to believe. Governor Ducey must stop prioritizing his political aspirations over the health and well-being of Arizonans, she added. We have seen the deadly repercussions of similar approaches by the governors of Texas and Florida. what repercussions? You had like a week of spikes and then it all leveled off. But they will fight over it until the end of time, no matter what. All right, from the Blaze, pharmacist arrested for allegedly selling CDC COVID-19 vaccination cards. You should never, ever, 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 ever have or make a fake vaccination card, ever. You shouldn't do that. It's a felony, and you should never slightly change the CDC logo so it's not a felony. You should never, ever, ever, ever do that. That would be wrong to do, and you should never do that. It is a felony to misuse a government logo. It actually is too, by the way. But you should never just slightly change the logo so it's legally distinct. You should never, ever, ever do that. A Chicago pharmacist who allegedly sold genuine CDC vaccination cards on eBay was arrested according to the U.S. Justice Department. Tang Zhao, 34, allegedly sold 125 cards to 11 different purchasers in March and April. He is charged with 12 counts of theft of government property. So he wasn't even just making the fake cards. I thought this was going to be the recipient of the cards that they intercepted in Memphis a couple days ago. But no, this guy was actually selling the actual cards. An indictment listed an approximate sum paid for multiple batches of cards. For instance, there were multiple 10-card batches listed with amounts paid ranging from $88.03 up to $117.40. Knowingly selling COVID vaccination cards to unvaccinated individuals puts millions of Americans at risk of serious injury or death, special agent in charge of Emerson Bowie Jr. of the FBI's Chicago field office said in a statement. To put such a small price on the safety of our nation is not only an insult to those who are doing their part in the fight to stop COVID-19, but a federal crime with serious consequences. We take seriously and will vigorously investigate any criminal offense that contributes to the distrust around vaccines and vaccination status, Assistant AG Kenneth A. Politi Jr., the Justice Department's Criminal Division, said in a statement. The Department of Justice and its law enforcement partners are committed to protecting the American people from these offenses during this national emergency. But you should never, ever, ever, ever make a card with a slightly modified logo, so you're not using a government logo. You should never, ever, ever, ever do that. That would be wrong of you to do, and you should never do something like that, ever. So, well, they'll come for you, I guess. All right, from Insider. Hundreds of thousands of Americans have signed a petition calling for $2,000 monthly stimulus checks in the wake of the Delta variant. From Elena Janova. This is from a couple days ago, but, you know, we still got to talk about it a little bit here. Almost 3 million people have signed a petition calling for Congress to issue $2,000 monthly stimulus checks. The petition has been gaining traction since its creator, Stephanie Boynan, posted it to change.org last year. It's been making waves again as the Delta variant spreads across the country. Since May, hundreds of thousands of Americans have signed on. I'm calling on Congress to support families with a $2,000 payment for adults and a $1,000 payment for kids immediately, and continuing regular checks for the duration of the crisis, Bonin, a Colorado restaurant owner, wrote in the pages of the petition. Otherwise laid off workers, furloughed workers, and the self-employed, and workers dealing with reduced hours will struggle to pay their rent or put food on the table. In the petition, Bonin urged Congress to issue immediate checks and recurring payments. Congress needs to make sure that we won't be left financially ruined for doing our part to keep the country healthy, she wrote. Okay, if you start printing money in the level that it will take to give you a monthly check, everybody in the country to that level, you will be in financial ruin. So far, there have been 3 rounds of stimulus checks. Eligible Americans received $1,400 in March. The Trump admin issued 2 stimulus checks 9 months apart. The check in the first round was $1,200, and those in the second were $600. It's unclear whether there will be a 4th round. There won't. The White House in May threw the ball in Congress's court, saying it's up to lawmakers to determine whether a 4th stimulus would be issued. It won't. We'll see what members of Congress propose, said Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary. She added that the stimulus package is generally costly to the federal government. But as insiders Joseph Zabalos-Roy wrote, a 4th stimulus check is unlikely. That's because the economy is regaining jobs, he reported in an analysis published in early July. Yeah, that million job report that they had for July, as much as I don't believe it, probably hurt their credibility as far as wanting to come back and have the next stimulus come out. That probably put a hamper and a damper on that. From 7 News out of Boston. Minnesota prosecutors opposed releasing Chauvin juror names by the Associated Press. Prosecutors asked Judge Monday to reject a request by a coalition of media outlets to unseal the names of the jurors who convicted ex-Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin in the brutal murder, that was also manslaughter, death of George Floyd, saying it could subject them to harassment and make it harder to seat a jury for the trial of 3 co-defendants next year. Judge Cahill ordered earlier that the jurors' identities be kept secret for at least 180 days after the verdict. That's 3 months away. Chauvin, who is white, was convicted in April of killing Floyd, a black man, and was sentenced to 22.5 years in prison. The media coalition, which includes the Associated Press, asked Cahill earlier this month to release the information immediately, saying there was no known threat to a juror's safety that would warrant keeping the names sealed. Attorney Leibt Walker said the media and public have a right to information about the jury, and that anonymous juries are rare and only allowed in exceptional circumstances, such as cases involving gangs or organized crime. Well, Chauvin was a member of the government at the time, so that is organized crime. But lead prosecutor Matthew Frank argued in a response on Monday that courts have ample authority to preserve juror anonymity from the substantial probability of harassment. He noted that Cahill, in earlier orders, made specific and detailed findings that jurors in the Chauvin case could be subject to harassment or intimidation if their names became public too soon, and he said the media coalition is downplaying the risks. Because of the case's international profile, the potential sources of harassment are diffuse and span the globe, Frank wrote. Once this court releases juror material, that material will quickly appear in every corner of the internet, including on social media and darker corners of the web. Nefarious actors may exploit that information, harassing jurors in person or online. 2 Chauvin jurors and 1 alternate have identified themselves and come forward to tell their stories since the trial, while the remaining 10 jurors and 1 alternate have not, including the guy who had the BLM shirt that probably intimidated the rest of them. I think that's a lot more of what's going to happen here. It's not going to be so much that they're worried. Well, they're going to tell you that they're worried that evil MAGA Trumpers are going to be the ones that come out and do this. Evil MAGA Trumpers are going to be the ones that come out and harass. They're going to be the ones that come after these jurors. No, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be the BLM gangsters that are going to come out and say, you better not tell anybody what happened in that jury room. You better not tell anybody. We told you we were going to be silent. And now that your name is out there, if you say a word, we're going to fucking kill you. Because I guarantee there was intimidation in that room. Alright, what do we got left? Just a couple more. Caitlyn Jenner tours southern border. We don't have a country unless we have a secure border. From Cameron Jenkins. Former reality star and California gubernatorial candidate Caitlyn Jenner on Friday made a trip to the southern border wall in San Diego, touting her plans for border control should she be elected governor of the state in the upcoming recall election. We don't have a state We do not have a country unless we have a secure border, Jenner said. Bottom line, that's it. Jenner pledged to fill the gaps at the border wall by providing more resources with state funds while simultaneously slamming current Governor Gavin Newsom's approach to mitigate the recent influx in border crossings. I commend everyone at the border control and would like them to know me as the governor, Jenner said. I would support them 100%. I'd come down here all the time to support them and to see what's going on this border. There's a lot a governor can do, but we have to have a governor who's willing to do this. She also noted the issues at the border were a major factor in determining her run for the governor, according to KUSI News. So, Jenner wants to go and do this on a mega border policy. Yeah, that campaign is over. That's not going to fly in California. Even with Larry Elder being as far ahead as he is, I don't see that flying in California anytime soon. Alright, from Forbes. Hobby Lobby loses 11-year fight to block trans women from bathroom. From Dawn Ennis. Somerville sex is unquestionably female, ruled the Illinois 2nd District Appellate Court on Friday, just like the women who are permitted to use the women's bathroom. With that crucial determination, the judges unanimously concluded that Hobby Lobby Stores Incorporated violated the law in Illinois by denying a transgender woman employee access to its women's bathroom in the store which she's worked for almost 23 years. They stuck to the law, Megan Somerville, 51, told me in a phone interview. I think that, to me, was as much of a victory as anything else, that the law in Illinois is so clear that even conservative judges could go any other way with it. This landmark ruling, as Bloomberg first reported, is one of the first impression, meaning that it is a case in which a legal issue has never before been decided by that governing jurisdiction. This is a precedent-setting case in Illinois because the Human Rights Act has never been tested in this way in Illinois, and actually in the country, Somerville said. According to our lawyer, the decision applies to statewide to every transgender individual in every public bathroom, not just the Hobby Lobby store in East Aurora. It's so broad sweeping when you read through it, said attorney Jacob Meister, who has represented Somerville for more than 9 years of her 11-year battle to use the ladies' room at work alongside attorney Katie Christie. Why would you work at Hobby Lobby? Unless you are specifically going after something like this. This is just like bake the fucking cake bigot. Why would you go here? Why? Unless you're just trying to go out and make this statement here of, I can use whatever bathroom I want. This whole bathroom thing is so fucking stupid. I can't even begin to imagine why it is that people want to do this. Go to the bathroom, and this goes to Hobby Lobby too. No matter what you look like, go to the bathroom that best reflects the genitalia that you're using to evacuate your waste. Plain and simple. But they've got to make a statement out of it, a political statement on how they pee. I've never understood it. If you've got Mr. Winky, whip it out, go in the urinal, zip it back up and go on with your day. It's that easy. But they've got to make a statement off of this. And once again, why work at a company that's going to, I mean, you know Hobby Lobby's position on this stuff. You know what their position is on this kind of thing. They close on Sunday. You know where they're coming from off this. This is not a secret. That they might not look kindly on transgender people. Why would you stay working with them? I don't understand this. But hey, Megan Somerville won. Huzzah, apparently. Alright, and the last one we have here is from NPR for you guys here. Pete Buttigieg and husband Jason announced they are now parents. And make sure that you donate both to Pete Buttigieg and Jason, because they need your money, I mean our money, comrade, but also donate to NPR, because the tax dollars that they get for public radio are not enough to spread their communist ideals. Donate to NPR, National Progressive Radio. It's not your money, comrade, it's our money. Let's see what they have to say. This is from Alana Wise. Pete Buttigieg and his husband Jason have welcomed a child, the transportation secretary announced in his personal Twitter account. The news marked the moment of visibility for same-sex partners and parents who, until Buttigieg's confirmation of the Transportation Department, had not had the representation of an openly gay person serving in a Senate-confirmed cabinet position. Richard Grinnell would like a word with you. For some time, Jason and I have wanted to grow our family, Buttigieg wrote in a tweet Tuesday. We're overjoyed to share that we've become parents. The process isn't done yet, and we're thankful for the love and support and respect for our privacy that you've come out and put publicly out to the world. That has been offered to us. We can't wait to share more soon. Buttigieg, 39, made history in February when he became the first openly gay Senate-confirmed cabinet member. Richard Grinnell would like a word with you. He has sworn in by Vice President Harris with his husband Jason at his side. That's it. That's the article. Mayor Pete and his husband have a kid. Do you care? I thought you guys might care. All right, let's get out of here. Before we head out of here for the day, I do want to talk about something that I am thankful for because it is Wednesday. And I'm looking at some of this here, and I see Harvey McLeod has just joined us in the Twitch chat, and yeah, I'm going to power through the last little bit of allergies that I have going on here to get through the end of the show. But, I start to see some of my friends around here, and people who are long since married, especially girls who are long since married, and know what husband material looks like here. And it seems to be that a lot of the people in my life, especially the women in my life, consider me to be husband material. Now, I have been engaged 3 times, but I have been a little bit frustrated at this point, thinking to myself that I must not be husband material because my 3rd engagement fell apart recently. But, I mean, Jessica, her and I were talking after the Red Net show, not this past one, but the one before, where she's surprised that there isn't somebody in the kitchen making me dinner at the time while we were finishing up the show, because that's something that I deserve and something that I need, and I would make a good husband to a good wife. And this is coming from somebody who has been married for her entire adult life. So it's like she knows what husband material is, and I'm thankful for that. I mean, I hope that something else will come out here. I mean, maybe I need some help, but, I'm feeling more confident these days too, so that could be helpful as well. But I'm very thankful for the support that I have of people around me. People who are looking to help me get into this next chapter of my life that I possibly should have done maybe 10 years ago, but still trying to move forward into this next chapter of my life and make it to be what it should be. I would love to have the help of anybody who wants to come back off and help, but I am thankful for the fact that people can see me this way, because sometimes it's a struggle. I've blown 3 engagements. That's like a person who's blown 3 marriages. You sit back and think, can I actually get married a 4th time? Can I actually work this time? And I do question myself. But I have enough people out there that tell me that, yes, this is the case, and you should get out and make yourself available and be part of your community too, which I'm trying to do more of. Become a part of the community. Go to church, which unfortunately that got blown out of the water this past week because of what happened with my cousin, but we'll still go back. We'll still do more. Be part of the community, meet people, maybe find somebody who is very well for that. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the support. And I'm always thankful for the support of all the people here as well. So thank you guys all for coming and hanging out with me here. Let's change up the track and let's get out of here for the day. All right. Outro music time and go! So, thanks everybody who came by and chatted with me in the live chat here today. Of course, I always read your live chats here, and we get them into the handy-dandy notebook, so we can say, hey, thank you at the end of the week. And that is my goal. I want to fill this notebook with all kinds of new names, new people, and new friends who are going to be watching this program. So tell a friend and tell 10 friends, because we are here for the news every morning, and I love to come out and talk with you guys here at the end of the week as well on Friday. So come back and hang out with me tomorrow for more contemporary. I'm sure we're going to be doing more Afghanistan stuff. We'll probably be doing some more Commie Coup stuff because they're going to try and shove that back in the news so they can cover up the Afghanistan thing. But either way, we will see what happens with that and what happens in the news in the next 24 hours. Until then, I will see you in the Daily Ignoramus, because everybody should be going out and watching the Daily Ignoramus. Unfortunately, not on Twitch anymore, so we can't go on raid, but everyone should still be going over there and watching. Until then, we will see you guys tomorrow, and I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.